A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 12, verses 38 to 42. Passage taken from the Message version of the Bible. Later, a few religion scholars and Pharisees got on him. "Teacher, we want to see your credentials. Give us some hard evidence that God is in this. How about a miracle?" Jesus said, "You are looking for proof, but you are looking for the wrong kind. All you want is something to titillate your curiosity, satisfy your lust for miracles. The only proof you are going to get is what looks like the absence of proof. Jonah evidence. Like Jonah, 3 days and nights in the fish's belly, the Son of Man will be gone, 3 days and nights in a deep grave. On Judgment Day, the Ninevites will stand up and give evidence that will condemn this generation, because when Jonah preached to them, they changed their lives. A far greater preacher than Jonah is here, and you squabble about proofs. On Judgment Day, the Queen of Sheba will come forward and bring evidence that will condemn this generation, because she traveled from a far corner of the earth to listen to wise Solomon. Wisdom far greater than Solomon's is right in front of you, and you quibble over evidence." The Gospel of the Lord. Reflections on the Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 12, verses 38 to 42. Evangelist Matthew presents the Pharisees and the scribes as the adversaries of Jesus. Most of the arguments against the teachings and signs of Jesus come from these religious leaders. Here they are at it again, but with a seemingly genuine request for a sign from heaven. Matthew had already reported a number of signs and miracles of Jesus. The ordinary people have been full of praise and amazement at what Jesus is doing, and they acclaim that God has visited his people. But the religious leaders, blinded by their own prejudice, accused Jesus of using the powers of Satan for his teachings, exorcisms, and healings. Now, with this request from the leaders, Matthew wants to expose the hypocrisy of the Pharisees and the scribes, and they must have been demanding Jesus to present his credentials. Jesus retorts by calling them an evil and unfaithful generation that asks for a sign. Signs and wonders were happening all around them, but they pretended blindness. So the Lord calls them evil and unfaithful generation. No matter what he says or what he does, they would not believe. Remember the parable of the rich man and the poor Lazarus, one in hell and other on the bosom of Father Abraham. Father Abraham tells the rich man in hell, if they, that's his brothers and sisters, do not listen to Moses and the prophets, neither will they be convinced even if someone rises from the dead. Same is the answer for the detractors of Jesus. There is no point in going into an argument with those who do not believe in God. God cannot be proved by arguments, but only by faith. Jesus offers them the sign of Jonah, which was well understood by the listeners of Matthew, because they knew both the story of Jonah as well as the faith of the Christians that Jesus rose from the dead on the third day. But again, the Jews in Antioch who refused to believe in Jesus would not believe in his resurrection story either. Matthew is challenging them with the greatest sign from heaven for the Messiah, the sign of the resurrection. The leaders had no explanations or answers for the teachings and mighty works of Jesus, but they refused to believe because they regarded themselves as people of knowledge and learning. Complacency and intellectual pride are probably the biggest temptations that confront us today. Sometimes we are stiff-necked and stubborn like the scribes and the Pharisees in the gospel today. We refuse to give up our set patterns of behavior and consider everyone else is wrong. The gospel invites us to open wide our eyes and witness the beauty of God's miracle all around us.